in college, I was very difficult to deal with. I was very, very difficult to coach. I always had my opinions. I always had my thoughts, understandings. I was always researching. I remember going and swimming with Mike Bottom and Anthony and those guys at the race club in 2001. And just because I've always had this thirst for knowledge. I want to understand myself. I want to understand the body. I want to understand swimming, playing golf. I want to understand everything about it. So I went out for the summer to train with Mike Bottom at Cal and Berkeley. And I remember just like loving the environment, loving the camaraderie, seeing what I had not been to the athletes around me, seeing, how Mike coached. And it was really revealing for me in so many ways that this was something that I was not doing and that I wasn't helping foster. And the beautiful thing about being there with Mike and Nort was every single day, like Nort would come out with a stack of articles or a article or a motivational piece. And I got back to Arizona after that summer with a stack of articles and things about swimming and mental, and just like mental preparation training. And I gave it to Frank and I was so excited. I was like, Frank, this is what we did here in Cal. It's just amazing. Maybe if you read through this, there might be some insights for you. And he took the stack and, he threw it in the trash can next to him. He says, Roland Schoeman, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And I got it. I understood it. But there was a level of frustration there because it's just like, these guys have been beating us year in and year out. They're producing sprinters and athletes that are great. And there's two coaches there that are, some of the best coaches of the world. Why wouldn't you want to learn? Just read through it. You're right. There's more than one way to skin a cat, but read through it. And there was a level of frustration in the fact that he wasn't willing to do that. And there were a couple more pivotal moments where I got to be really lazy. I would bitch and moan, complain. I wouldn't want to do sets, and that wasn't who I wanted to be. And Frank, it was after 2003 World Champs. Frank Busch sat down with me because I'd had an awful World Championships. I swam off for first reserve. Time that I went to swim off for first reserve would have seeded me third going into semifinals. So that was tough in and of itself. But got back to Tucson. Frank sat me down. He said, hey, Roland, you know what? I love you. You've been an amazing asset to the swimming program. But if you're not going to change your attitude, if you're not going to change the way you see things, look at things, work out, we don't want you bitching and moaning. We don't want you complaining. You need to buy into this. If you're not willing to buy into this program, then unfortunately, we're going to have to see you go. And it was one of the realest, most difficult conversations anybody had ever had with me. And I was in tears and really disappointed, like how dare he sort of attitude, but I intrinsically knew that he was right. And I spent about 20, 30 minutes, just sort of crying and thinking about things, and went down to the locker room, got my suit on, went back up to the pool deck and said, Frank, you're right. I'm ready. Let's do this. And it was, and obviously after that, there were still moments where, I bitched and moaned, but for me, it was, okay, well, this was my commitment, and let's see more of the positive behavior versus the negative behavior. Right. And Frank and I and Rick and I, we had conversations a lot about that, because there were still moments where that old attitude, the bitching and moaning would creep in, but knowing that the goal obviously was to be my better self at that point in time. We try to take that into consideration as often as possible. But one of the most difficult conversations anybody's ever had with me, but definitely one of the most impactful and needed ones at that point in time.